Tributes pour in for Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Nobel laureate and veteran of South Africa's struggle against apartheid, who has died at the age of 90.
He was one of the greatest people I've ever met. He and Nelson Mandela are the two leaders who ended apartheid. But, you know, he was a teacher, he was a moral leader, he was a campaigner.
The bodies of 16 Iraqi Kurds who drowned when their inflatable boat sank last month in the Channel while trying to reach the UK have been returned to northern Iraq. New coronavirus restrictions come into force in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland to try to limit the spread of the Omicron variant.
We begin here in Japan, where the Omicron variant has health authorities bracing for the worst. The strain has now been identified in 14 prefectures. Officials have confirmed 58 Omicron infections nationwide so far. These include untraceable cases in Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Aichi and Fukuoka. The majority of infections are being confirmed among passengers on flights returning from abroad. Health authorities are now scrambling to track the movement of thousands of fellow travellers considered to have come into close contact with these people. The government is requesting close contacts to stay at designated hotels for 2 weeks and take PCR tests every few days. Some who have to take care of children or other family members are allowed to stay at home, but they're required to take the same number of PCR tests as they would at designated facilities. They submit their samples to health officials who visit their homes. The rising number of Omicron close contacts is increasing the strain on public health centres.
We already have our hands full with close contacts. We won't be able to manage if community transmission increases.
Meanwhile, the government is set to deliver the oral COVID-19 drug Molnupiravir to prefecture-designated hospitals. Medical staff are expected to start administering it after Monday. Authorities confirmed 263 total coronavirus infections across Japan on Sunday. The weekly average of daily new cases is rising, and health officials warn of a heightened risk of infection as travel picks up for the New Year holidays. Pope Francis has called for dialogue and cooperation in his Christmas message amid the continuing pandemic. Pope Francis delivered his speech from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica on Saturday. He noted that the pandemic has tested social relationships. He said there's a growing tendency to withdraw and to stop making an effort to do things together. The Pope also said that on the international level, there's the risk of avoiding dialogue. He said taking shortcuts will not lead to the resolution of conflicts. Britain's Queen Elizabeth spoke about people enjoying Christmas traditions despite the pandemic.
While COVID again means we can't celebrate quite as we may have wished, we can still enjoy the many happy traditions. Be it the singing of carols, as long as the tune is well known, decorating the tree, giving and receiving presents, or watching a favourite film where we already know the ending.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres stressed the importance of cooperation. He tweeted that Christmas is an opportunity for compassion, reflection and solidarity with others. The South African Nobel Peace Prize laureate and anti-apartheid leader Desmond Tutu has died. He was 90 years old. Tutu was a prominent voice in the decades-long struggle for the freedom of people suppressed by the policy of apartheid. He worked alongside Nelson Mandela and called for international sanctions on the South African government. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984. Mandela was elected president in 1994 and named Tutu chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission looking into human rights abuses during the apartheid era. Tutu received praise from around the world for his work with the panel to heal the wounds of racial conflict. He retired from official activities in 2010, but continued to lend his voice to the fight against racial discrimination in South Africa. He died in Cape Town on Sunday morning. A pro-democracy armed group in eastern Myanmar says the country's military killed 35 civilians on Friday. The victims reportedly included women and children. Fierce fighting between Myanmar's military and armed resistance groups is continuing in Kayah State. The pro-democracy group says the military killed local civilians while they were fleeing clashes and burned their bodies in vehicles. The group called the act a crime against humanity. The military gave its own account through state media. It says militants opened fire from their vehicles, triggering a shootout. Save the Children says 2 of its staff members went missing in Kaya after their private vehicle was attacked. It says they were travelling home for the holidays. The aid group says it's horrified at the violence carried out against innocent civilians and its staff, and that attacks against aid workers cannot be tolerated. On December 5th, 5 people reportedly died in Myanmar's largest city of Yangon after the military rammed a vehicle into protesters and security forces opened fire. Myanmar media also reported that 11 people captured by the military were found dead with their bodies burned on December 7th in the northwestern region of Sagaing. People in Indonesia have been remembering loved ones who were killed by the Indian Ocean tsunami 17 years ago. More than 220,000 people died or went missing over a vast area from Southeast Asia to Eastern Africa. Hundreds gathered at a memorial ceremony on Sunday in Aceh province, where 160,000 people were killed by the powerful earthquake and tsunami. The governor of Aceh pledged to keep providing training in disaster preparedness, but the coronavirus pandemic makes it hard to conduct evacuation drills for children.
If another earthquake occurs, we must tell young people not to stay near the sea. We have to immediately evacuate far away.
Reconstruction work is making progress, but new homes are being built near the coast, and people who didn't experience the tsunami are moving in. A next-generation space telescope has lifted off from Earth on a mission to observe the first stars and galaxies to come into existence. Scientists say the device will help them gain a better understanding of the birth of the universe. A rocket carrying the James Webb Space Telescope launched from a base in South America on Saturday. The observatory is the product of a $9 billion project led by US, Canadian and European space agencies. It's considered the successor to the Hubble Space Telescope, which launched in 1990. The Webb is equipped with a mirror measuring about 6.5 meters across. It will also operate at a distance of 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. The Hubble is in orbit just 600 kilometers away. Scientists say these advances will allow the Webb to explore much deeper into space than other telescopes. Its mission is to observe stars and galaxies that came into existence some 200 million years after the Big Bang. The telescope is expected to begin observation as early as the middle of next year. It has an expected operational period of 5 to 10 years. Weather officials are warning of heavy snow in areas along the Sea of Japan and are urging people there to refrain from non-essential outings. The Japan Meteorological Agency says a severe cold air mass is flowing over the country, bringing strong winds and flurries. The snow is expected to intensify through Monday morning, especially in a wide area from northern to western parts of Japan. The cold air mass will likely move to the Pacific side of western Japan. It could bring snow to urban areas of the Kansai and Tokai regions, as well as the flatlands of the Shikoku and Kyushu regions. Winds are also expected to intensify across wide areas.
I'm worried about the snow. I'm just going to stay inside.
The Meteorological Agency is warning that heavy snow could disrupt traffic and trigger avalanches. It also says snow accumulating on power cables could cause blackouts. And those were the main stories for this hour.